All right, folks out there in Air Force land, we're wrapping up the 257 video. Now, what I was doing today, which you'll see some of it before the camera was getting, the heat was driving everything crazy. The chronograph was doing good, and then it started giving me some outlandish numbers, so I had to come back and do it here inside in a controlled environment. So because they were just, the heat was making everything crazy. The camera kept quitting, going on and off. I had to go in the shade, come out of the shade, go back. So I've stitched together everything we've got here, you know, so you'll get the point of it. But, you know, with the power wheel, you got a huge option. All right, so I hope you guys can see this. All right, when the gun is fully cocked, this is exposed. This is your power wheel, okay? As you go towards the barrel, that decreases the load on the spring. As you spin this line this direction towards the bottle, that's increasing. So of course increasing is going to use more air. It's going to be a little faster. But speed is not your friend on certain slugs. So that's where you really want to tune this to get it right where you want it. There's an awesome feature on this, and I can't talk about it enough. So that is the power wheel, and people say, oh, well, where were you at? So it's, basically 0, 1/4, half, 3/4, maxed out. That's where that little line would be flush against this side, or, all the way against this side. All right, so I hope you have an understanding. This just kind of freely spins, or you can put your little Allen wrench in there and spin the wheel. Takes lots of turns, but you can really fine tune this. So I ran my numbers. I did 5-shot groups. You could do more. You could probably easily do a 10-shot group. But I was starting at 3,000 PSI and ending up at 2,300 PSI on the average for the medium and 3/4 power. On the quarter power, I was ending up with 2,500 PSI. So it's a little more, uses less air, more conservative. Okay. So what I did is I shot 5 slugs of each round on the 3 settings. Now you can still, I didn't max the wheel out and go all the way full blast, and I didn't spin it all the way back to the weakest. Because what I'm looking for is the average across the board. And what I was trying to find out, as you'll know with Air Force guns, and this is what I love about an air rifle with a power wheel, is the speeds were close across the board, but the grouping at 50 yards was tightening up. So in general, if you want to get your maximum goal out of a slug, spin the power wheel to the light side, start shooting, okay? Your group's tight. Then what happens is just keep increasing that power wheel, and at some point your group's going to start spreading. At that point, back it back down, and that's going to be your best spot for group, speed, and the weight of that particular slug. So what I did with all my numbers, I mean, I could have probably done 5 sets from nothing, on the power, quarter, half, 3/4, and then maxed out. But with the heat, the sun, and I was baking, I just did quarter, half, and 3/4, okay? So I got to leave something for you guys to do. So what we wound up with across the board, with the 70 grain, the average speed was 1,059 feet a second, which average foot-pounds was 175 with a 70 grain hollow point. And then the 82 grain hollow point, which is probably my favorite, that's probably my number one, was 949 across the board with a 164 foot-pounds of energy. And then the 117 hollow point was 866 feet a second with a 194. So that kind of gave me my biggest blast. So it's up to you. And you'll see the pictures here, as you've seen. I'm squeezing them in. Excuse me for the phlegm. On the lighter side, the 70 grain was really tight. And as we increased the power wheel, the 70 started, the patterns got a little bigger, a little bigger. Now granted, everything at 50 yards was under 1.5 inches, but I know you paper punchers really like to get tight, okay? So the tighter groupings at the higher speeds were with the 82 and the 117. So it depends on how you want to play. You can spin it all the way light, go with a lighter weight slug, max it out, go with a beefy slug. But you know, with all the shooting we're doing, I was just trying to give a shot. You know, it's almost all identical across the board, few feet a second up and down. But the spread of the slugs is the key. And that's what I like about working with all Air Force products. You can tune that gun to the one bullet you want to shoot and get that right on, so every single shot you know where it's at. Hey everybody out there in Mrhollowpoint land, Mr. Mrhollowpoint coming at you live again from Ted's Hacienda. Today what we are having the privilege, the honor, and the privilege to play with is the brand new, smoking, right out the box, Air Force Texan 257. 257, not 350, okay, 257. This thing is screaming right now. We're setting it up. The grouping just off the bat is like this. I mean, it's tighter than a frog's you know what. So we are screaming here. We're going to be doing some shooting. We'll show you the numbers. We're going to try to get everything put together. At the moment, right out the box, I am in love with this. I've never had a Texan yet pop in together so quick and so easy. Today we're playing with the 115 grain Mrhollowpoint, the 182 Mrhollowpoint, and the 70 grain Mrhollowpoint, and to see where she's at. This right now, the first power setting I'm working on is 3/4 full or heavy. If you look at the little diagram, I'll try to show you a picture. It's all the way this way. The only thing that I could go further is if I went totally flush, and then you wouldn't see the line at all. So I'm just calling it 3/4 full. All right, so we're going to keep doing some shooting and some popping here. Follow us and follow along. The 117. Woo! Like a surgeon, yeah! For the very first time, like a surgeon. Laser accuracy every time. Wow. Alright fellas, here in Mrhollowpoint land, we're going to walk down at our 50-yard target. I'm kind of impressed. I know the lighter slugs don't perform as well in any of the Texans that I've been playing with. And today I'm going to actually try lowering the power wheel to the other side. But this first set of 3 groupings is 3/4 full, I guess you'd call it, on the preload. So, let's see, this is the 70 grain. Okay, that is the 117, and there's the 82. I mean, they're all really excellent considering I'm wobbling on the table. So to be honest, the way I'm wiggling really is going to be like if you were working with a bipod, because the stock doesn't sit all the way flush, you know, in the lead sled. I've actually got to hold it up with my little vibration shaking body. So that's not bad. Now we'll go, and again, this is 3/4 full on the power dial. 3,000. Still at the same PSI left over. About 2,300. Alright folks, all my equipment's going crazy in the heat. The chronograph is giving me goofy numbers.
It's going crazy with the heat.
You're crazy with your inventions. What's the name of this thing?
Don't chop the wood, Mother. Father's coming home with a load.
So what we're really going to look at now is just the groupings. Now this is the half power wheel setting, but still 3,000 PSI. Here's the 117. I threw a lot of numbers because I was getting errors on this one. So the 117 is still grouping nice. The 82 started out nice, but then I had a couple of flyers. Again, probably me, because everyone else is telling me that this is my #1 slug. And the 70, which was kind of sloppy before, is tightened up really nice. So again, once you get your crosshairs dialed in, stick with that one weight, because you can see, you know, right now I'm dialed in for the heavier, the 117. So I'm still shooting high, still shooting way high. But ignore that, just look at the groupings. Not bad at all. Okay, the camera kind of overheated here already, but what we're showing now, this is the 1/4 power, 3,000 PSI, and the 117s I think gave me my tightest grouping. The 82s, well, I shot a few extra, but the 82, you can see it's a little bit higher, a little further spread, and then the 70s, of course, is higher, and it's also a little worser spread, but it's tight. So far it looks like these 117s are holding the tightest. You can see that you know, this thing's really spot on, so whichever weight you sight in at, you know, if you're shooting heavier or lighter, it's going to go, you know, down slightly or up slightly off your bullseye. So just keep that in mind. Once you get one weight that you like, stick with it on everything. And again, this is 1/4 power. So it's really, really light on the power dial. Okay guys, with this water jug, I really thought it was going to stop the slug. We shot the 117 here and it burst out the back. So to keep, before the water exited, I shot the second one there, and it still burst out the back. So that is I gotta look at the foot-pounds on the old foot-pound meter, but that is a lot of energy. I could easily see this taking down a large pig or a good-sized deer. Let's go back and crunch some numbers, and we'll finish the video up down in the house. Oh, you see that? The ballistic gel? Okay. 50 yards, guys. 50 yards, 13 inches of penetration on all 3 hollow points. If you're not shooting pure awesome, you're just not shooting. That's all there is to it. Look at the close-up. I put the video camera closer on this. Now, I had this gel set out at the 50-yard mark. So, shot number 1 was with the 117, the heavy slug. Came in and dropped down right there. Mushroomed one solid piece. And then number 2 came across as, let's see, down here, that's number 2. That's the 82 grain, and that one fragmented. And then this is the 70 grain that came straight across. Of course, it's moving much faster. So just estimating, this is around 860 feet a second, somewhere around 960, and then around 1100. All of them, this 16-inch block, so this is basically what's left. 1, 2, 3 inches, so that's at least 13 inches of penetration at 50 yards. I'll try to pull these out so we can get a better look at them. Okay, all you doubters of ne'er-do-well and nefarious activities, here are the 257 slugs I pulled out of the gel block from 50 yards. To the left is the 70 grain, the middle is the 82 grain, and the right is the 117. All equal distance, 13 inches in at a 50-yard distance. I have no qualms whatsoever about taking down large game with this rifle. See what I'm talking about? Pure awesome. Not no 25 feet, 50 yards. Too many people, oh, you need to have it out there where point of impact is. Let me see the damage. Well, I just showed you the damage. That is impressive. I don't care who you are. If you're not shooting pure awesome, you're just not shooting. Okay, so you've seen all my other Air Force videos. They all look the same. So I'm not going to sit there and go over more bells and whistles because it's the same bells and same whistles. The only difference is this is the 257, and the more I work with these, the better I get. Okay, so again, closing this video up, the 257 is a killer. I may have to go over to Nugent's and try to take me out a hog with that 117. I'm really impressed with this. They hit, hit the ground running, knocked it out of the park. I threw the scope on, took me 2 slugs to get it zeroed in, and bing, 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 I was there. The groupings are tight. But as you've seen on my pictures, you want to get this dialed in for one weight slug, and it's going to be a laser pointer. I mean, it's going to be surgery, just dead on every single time. As you can see, the lighter slugs, because I had the gun dialed in for the 117s, the lighter slugs were shooting a couple inches high, okay? So you need to pay attention. You can't just flip from a 70 to a 115. Even the 82, the weight difference does play a difference in this gun. So pick your weight, get it locked down, and then no matter where you're at, from 50 to 100 yards, you know exactly where the slug is going to hit. You know how much holdover you're going to need. All right. So but if you start playing, if you've got this sighted in with a 117 and you throw in a 70 grain, you might be 3-4 inches high at 100 yards. You need to make sure you're dialed in with one slug per hunting session, or get yourself, take care of what you want to do. Because if you just go back and forth, you're never going to be on the mark. You're always going to be slightly higher, slightly lower, and that's just that slop. You really want to be, the work that got put into these, you want to be pinpoint exact. And that's, even no matter what Air Force product I'm using, I stick with one slug for that season, and whether the animal is a raccoon or a grizzly bear, from 10 yards to 100 yards, I know exactly where that one slug is going to hit at all different points. And that's what you really need to do, okay? I mean, don't take my word for it. What do I know? I'm only working with pure awesome. Thank you, Air Force, for all you've done for these fantastic products, and I cannot wait to see what you guys got cooking up next. Mr. Mrhollowpoint, out.